pituitary gland right here. First of all, we see, identify this structure right here, thalamus. This W right here, hypothalamus. This right here, pituitary gland. Can you see this stalk that connects the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland? It's like a funnel that's funneling in some axons, as we'll learn later with the endocrine system. This is called the infundibulum. See the funnel in infundibulum? That's what it actually means. So this is the hypothalamus, the infundibulum, and the pituitary gland. In front or anterior to the hypothalamus, this little structure that you see right here, we're going to call this the optic chiasm. We're going to do our brain dissections next time. Please make sure that you bring your closed-toe shoe and your goggles. This structure that we see behind or posterior to the hypothalamus, number 24 in this model, are the mammillary bodies. You see one of them, there's another one on the other half of the brain. And these are the ones that process information related to smelling, and that also controls swallowing. So what region of the brain is this right here? Hypothalamus, number 21. What is this? Infundibulum. Over here, pituitary gland. Back here, mammillary body. In front, optic chiasm. It's where our optic nerve crosses, as we will learn next time. All right. Identify these two structures plus the other two on the other half of the brain, all together. Corpora quadrigemina. What's the top one called? Superior colliculus. The bottom one? Inferior colliculus. Okay, so looking at our list, everybody's good with these? Infundibulum, pituitary, mammillary body, corpora quadrigemina, superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, and now the cerebral peduncles. So the cerebral peduncles are located on what part of the brain? Midbrain. So to see those, the best way is to look at our brain stem. And so I had the brain stem here. Does anyone see it, or?
We have another one on the table.
Okay, yeah. Borrow that. Oh, I think I might have taken it to my table. So looking at our brain stem here. So does everybody recognize now what this is right here? Pituitary gland. Let's look at it from the side. Can you see the little stalk right there? This structure you see coming out that's crossing right here, this is our optic chiasm. Now, if I look behind this pituitary gland, let's put this region right here, this right here is our midbrain. How do I know? If I keep turning it, what do I see right there? Corpora quadrigemina, that is part of that. Can you see this flat part of the midbrain right here? Here's our superior and inferior colliculi. This flat part right here, that is called the cerebral peduncle. It's really important because this is the part of the midbrain that is going to send information that carries voluntary motor commands. Where do the voluntary motor commands come from? Our cerebrum, from our our precentral gyrus. That's going to come down, and it's going to come down through this region right here that we call the cerebral peduncle. On the next page, we then see the pons. This is the pons right here, this big bulge. Now we're going to look around to the posterior side. Can you see these flat parts where the pons are? Here's the pons. Here's the flat part. These are called the middle cerebellar peduncles. The cerebral peduncles communicated with the cerebrum. Where do you think the middle cerebellar peduncles are going to communicate with? The cerebellum. So these connect the pons to the cerebellum. And then here in the medulla oblongata, here's our medulla oblongata. Does everybody see the bulge of the pons? The bulge of the medulla oblongata? So again, if I turn around to this posterior part, can you see these parts coming up right here? Those are the pyramids. They're just two regions of the medulla oblongata that send commands that control the opposite sides of the body. Such as, if I ask you to raise your left hand, that command is coming from the right side of the brain crossing over, and, from the right side of the brain crossing down over to the left side of the body, and vice versa. The commands cross over. Almost, guys, and then we'll stop there. And then give you guys time to practice all of this. The cerebellum, we have a couple of structures that we need to identify. First of all, can everyone see this tree in white? The word for tree is arbor, right? Like Arbor Day, you're celebrating the trees, Mother Earth. Árbol in Spanish, right? We say tree. So the arbor vitae is this white matter that extends throughout the cerebellum. The darker beige matter around the edges, that is called the cerebellar cortex, or just cortex for short. And then the cerebrum is actually made up of two halves. You can see that a little bit better right here. Can you see the two cerebellar hemispheres? And then if you look carefully, I can't see it very well in this model, but there's a little worm-like structure in between the two cerebellar hemispheres. You can just barely see it on this one. That is called the vermis. The word vermis means worm, and it's just the connection between the two cerebellar hemispheres. Everybody okay on that? Okay. So what I would do, we're up on time. I would take